Good afternoon. I'm Kavi Joshi, the co-founder and managing director of Next Venture Corp. We're the organizers of Next Growth Conclave. And at our own conclave, I'd like to take the privilege of hosting this panel discussion. See, it was not under my control. Maybe our program development team thought that I'll be able to do justice to moderating this panel. So they chose me to moderate the panel discussion on entrepreneurship in Nepal, the decade ahead. So here we'll be discussing and try to visualize what Nepal will look like during the 2020s, the decade ahead, with entrepreneurs leading the scene, with entrepreneurs leading several aspects of society, be it political entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, business, technology. In every single aspect, we want to see how Nepal will be like in 2020s. And joining me as panelists are highly distinguished speakers who seasoned entrepreneurs, investors, media mogul, as well as entrepreneurs who practiced very well, build their ventures in Nepal and abroad. I'd like to start with Mr. Rahul Narvekar, the founder and CEO of the India Network. Rahul, please join me on stage. Thank you. I'd also like to, please, thank you. Welcome on stage. I'd also like to take the privilege of inviting upon Dr. Anurag Bata, the chairperson and managing director of BW Business World Media Group. Dr. Bata, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome, sir. And up next, I'd like to invite upon Mr. Dilip Agrawal, the founder, managing director and chairman of Nepal's one of the oldest and the most credible internet service provider, WorldLink Communications. He's also an active entrepreneur, a mentor to many, and an investor to a couple of startup companies in Nepal. Mr. Agrawal. Thank you, sir. Welcome on stage. All right. Now with this, as I see most of our friends, the participants have shifted to the front rows, I'd like to start the panel discussion on entrepreneurship in Nepal, the decade ahead. Thank you. Dear panelists, welcome to the power discussion on entrepreneurship in Nepal in the decade ahead. So I'd like to start with my very first question to Dr. Anurag Batra. The reason why I'm going to him is...
I have the least hair. By the way, God made four kind of people. People, to some he gave hair, to others he gave brains. People like sixth sense, he gave both hair and brains. And people like me, no hair, no brains. Right? So that's why he's given me a chance.
Yeah. So adding on top of that, accepting all of it, what Dr. Batra just mentioned, the reason why I wanted to ask the very first question to him is because with the immense knowledge that Dr. Batra has, both by learning about entrepreneurship, being an entrepreneur, writing about it, and spreading the good word about entrepreneurship and investment, he's got to see how the entrepreneurial ecosystem in India has taken a shift over last 3 decades and even more. And also he's been on the tip of the toe in understanding the business and economics of several economies around the world. So my question to Dr. Batra is, what were the significant changes that you saw in Indian startup ecosystem or the entrepreneurship ecosystem during the late 90s, early 2000s, and now as we progress to the third decade?
In late 90s, I was too busy with graduating, getting CGPAs in college, watching movies and doing other things that I don't want to mention. So I was not bothered about. Honestly, everything in my life is an accident, as it's happened accidentally. And I have been in some way very traditional. I run a traditional media company. I mean, we built digital So one, I am not a futurist, I am not an astrologer, and I'm not a bullshitter. So I won't be able to tell you what will happen in next 10 years. If I knew, then I'd be a billionaire. But from the 2005 onwards till now, I can give you a sense. Especially in the last 5 years, because I'm part of business world, I meet entrepreneurs, so I can give you a sense in that sense. But in the 90s, I mean, I never even thought I'd been an entrepreneur, right? And most things in everyone's life they happen because of God's wish, serendipity. One thing, it's not planned in a classic planned manner. But let me tell you what's happening in India right now. Have you heard of a word called unicorn? मैंने सुना भुट्टा होता है कॉर्न ना पहली बार सुना तो बड़ा भुट्टा but what does it mean? What does unicorn mean? $1 billion company. So what is happening is, let me use a term that Reid Hoffman Reid Hoffman is let's say among the top 5 investors in Silicon Valley. He runs a fund, private equity fund. Let me say he's a sage investor, as they're called. He's got lots of bits. He is invested in LinkedIn, Facebook, lots of. So he's written a book called Blitz Scaling. So the reason you're seeing, yesterday there was an investment in Swiggy of $1 billion. Last week there was a $100 million round in Oyo. So these days, why are companies putting so much money? It's like a land grab. If there's a new location that comes near Kathmandu, let's say 60 kilometers, I don't. So, you tend to buy land in the hope that this will get developed. You also prevent competition. And the fact that venture capital funds have money to deploy and co-investing when they have other investors, big investing with them, and there's a traction. And India is a great market, at the end of the next 3 years, 5 years, there'll be in every segment 2 or 3 players left. There'll be consolidation. So one, it's about right now investors are putting money to create leaders, to create unicorns, to back 1 or 2 players to be able to last the next 5, give them so much cash that they outburn everyone. I mean, $1 billion to a food delivery company? $1 billion, just think. And again, I may be contrarian to Rahul or Sir's views, is, Flipkart in India raised about, between their sellout and all, about $26 billion, 9 plus, at least 20, I mean. But what did the $20 billion, first few billion dollars went in price offs. So they didn't do any innovation, they didn't build. I mean, you can say cash on delivery was an innovation, but that's a tactical thing. Innovation is a little more deep. Second, they imitated. So in India right now what's happening is, there is a land grab mentality. Let's go there first, let's block everyone. The fact that they paid $16 billion for Flipkart is because in some way they wanted to block their competitor. Walmart paid for blocking Amazon, right? Amazon is smart. With 16 billion, they can get anywhere. And again, this is all money. Most of it is not gone into the company investors. Ek ki topi dusre ke saath, right? They'll make money in 10. So they'll tell you about a hockey curve. All that Rahul and me know these words. Hockey curve. Ek din suddenly paisa banane lagega. But I keep saying motherhood is a certainty, fatherhood is a hope. So cost is a certainty, revenues are a hope, profitability is a hope. In India, what are the 3 things happening and what will happen over the next? Consolidation, big money coming in to grow players. Second is, finally, e-commerce ventures are doing well, but sectors beyond e-commerce. माल बनाना भी तो पड़ेगा बेचने के लिए. Delivery के लिए माल तो चाहिए, खाना तो चाहिए, जूते चाहिए, garments चाहिए, in every sector. And third is new sectors. In every sector, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, those kind of startups with a sector focus. Somebody started with data analytics for healthcare. They can predict how long I will live based on my weight, my food habits, my genetic profiling, and my insurance premium is calculated basis that. So tech, AI, ML-led ventures are getting funded. What will happen in 10 years from now? See, I mean, the technology is changing. I really don't know. I honestly don't know what will happen, but I'm certainly sure that like these big companies, Flipkart was 12 years back a small startup. Oyo Rooms 4 years back was a small startup. Ola 6 years back was a small startup. Like they came and they from nowhere became big. There'll be another set of startups that will come that will disrupt them. That is for sure. Where will they come from? Again, I have this theory like cricket कौन देखता है यहाँ? Cricket देखते हो आप? देखते हैं ना? तो क्रिकेट में धोनी कहाँ से है? धनबाद से है, झारखंड से है, रांची से झारखंड से है. So the small town boys, he's actually not from Delhi, he's from in Maharashtra, right? Bombay से है. वो बॉम्बे छोटी जगह नहीं है, but you know, people are, as you know, Vijay Shekhar Sharma is from Aligarh, right? I can give you example, people who come from small towns and have built really big businesses. But let me tell you what a bet, I won't take his name, he's the largest investor in media in India, nobody knows him. I promise you, nobody knows him. I met him and he said there is a difference between being rich and being wealthy. He believes all the entrepreneurs, including some of the ones, are being wealthy. For example, one of them raised 600 million, he bought a 20 million home. He says in the US, if they raise that much money, they still go by train. Of course, that's good. But they're very frugal, even in spite. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is still very frugal. Lots of those entrepreneurs are very frugal. But I think at some stage they will become rich. Some of them who are frugal, who continuously innovate, because again, success can go to your head and you can start making and wrong choices and there can be disruption. So long answer, but I really don't know what will happen. You can ask Rahul.
Thank you, Dr. Bhatta. Now I'd like to come back to Rahul on the same note. Rahul, you started your first venture in 1994, and you've been building several companies across different industries since then. You started the other in 1966, 67, the other in early 2000s, and you've turned into, you've started companies who have become like above 100 million companies, and now you've turned into a very active investor, a seasoned investor with your venture, Scale Ventures, and also with India Network. So in doing all of these, and doing all of these in last 3 decades, I'd say, what are the major shifts that you've seen in the entrepreneurship-led India? I'd not want you to touch upon the political developments whatsoever, but then the entrepreneurs-led India, what are the major shifts that you've seen in last 3 decades, being an entrepreneur yourself and now being an investor?
So I think the biggest shift that I see, Kavi, honestly, is mindset. Okay. When I started off, 90s, the word entrepreneurship did not exist. Although I was part of an entrepreneurship program, most people did not know. It was called business. And if you partnered, you were called partners, not co-founders. When I moved to Delhi and I was doing a job, and in 2009 when I started Fashion and You, when I started Fashion, actually the rumor in the market was, I used to work for DLF, and Anurag will remember because he had supported me at that time. He was one of the few people who said, do it. Everybody else said, pagal hai, achhi kasi DLF ki naukri chhod ke you want to jump into something where, and you don't even know because it was 2009, just after the recession. So the mindset at that time was, it is too risky. Wait and watch, we'll work for some years and all of that. But now you see young kids jump straight into entrepreneurship. That's one. And here I'll give you one example. When I was doing Indian Roots in 2013, I was in a building called Iris Tech Park in Gurgaon. And I was on the 4th floor, and there was this kid on the ground floor with 2 seats in a business center. And he sent me a Facebook friend request and said, sir, I want you to mentor me because I've come from a very small town in Odisha. I'm doing something in the travel space. And I said, boss, I'm running an active startup. Meri vaat lagi, mere paas time. He said, nahi, just whenever you can help. So this kid came from a small town, school dropout, did a startup, flamed out. Got into a program which was called the Peter Thiel Scholarship. And he was the first kid from Asia to get in. So for those of you who don't know, Peter Thiel is a Silicon Valley billionaire, founder of companies like PayPal, who set up this foundation where he gives $100,000 to school-going kids to drop out of school and become an entrepreneur. Because Peter genuinely believes that schools spoil you. This kid got that scholarship. He got $100,000, went to US, got mentored by people like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos, comes back, does another startup, which fails. And it fails so miserably that one day he goes to his rental apartment and the landlord has thrown all his belongings outside. And with one bag, one jeans and two t-shirts, he started traveling and staying in small dharamshalas and built another startup. That startup is called Oyo Rooms. This boy's name is Ritesh Agarwal. Now, when you look at a Ritesh Agarwal, he was a school dropout at the age of 19, not studied Excel sheets, doesn't know technology. What does he know? He just had that passion. And I remember when I was chatting with Bejul Somaya from Lightspeed, who wrote the first check to Ritesh. When Ritesh walked into the Lightspeed office to pitch for funding, he did not show them a PowerPoint presentation. He sat down with his rucksack and Bejul asked, what is that? He said, this is my entire life. I don't have a house. I don't have an address. I just travel and stay in small properties. But you ask me any question on that space, I will answer. And he took these guys to the market and he said, this is the opportunity. So Oyo's original opportunity was all the budget properties. If I come to Kathmandu and I can't afford to stay in a Solti, how do I know that a small hotel is clean, toilet is good, all of that? So he said, I will standardize this. And every question the investor threw at him, he had the answer. Because he had spent months and months researching every aspect. And they got so impressed, they wrote him a check. Now, when you say of journey, when he started in 2013, he wrote an initial $5 million, and Oyo started the journey of branding Oyo everywhere. That time there was another startup called Zorooms, Zedo, which was a bunch of 5 kids from IIT, very bright. And Oyo and Zorooms were going neck and neck. And after a couple of years, if you saw the balance sheet of a Zorooms and a Oyo Rooms, you would have said Zorooms is the better company. Because they were frugal, they were managing cash flow better, they were backed by a fund called Tiger Global, which is Lee Flickle. Oyo was backed by Lightspeed at that time. And today, Oyo is a $5 billion company, Zorooms does not exist.
Valuation, not revenue.
Valuation.
Rahul Yadav also very big housing. So let's wait one more year.
But what I want to tell you the point, when your point is, so what has changed in the economy is, what happened? Why did Oyo go ahead and why did Zo flame out? So at one point what was happening is all these guys were going to the hotel owners and saying, I will give you a minimum guarantee and I'm writing a check for all your rooms and put my board up there. Now both had the same amount of money. And suddenly one fine day you could see Oyo everywhere and Zo in very few places. So everybody said, oh, Oyo is a bigger brand. What did Ritesh do? He did one smart thing. He started going to the hotel owners and saying, I will not take your entire hotel ka inventory. Just give me 2 rooms for 1 year. I'll pay you in advance. But you need to put a Oyo board samne. Now suddenly with the same amount of money that Zo had Oyo boards in many places, whereas Zo was writing checks for the whole hotel. The point I'm trying to make here is this economy is not about how much money you have, what is a brilliant idea. It is about doing things on a daily basis. This economy is about 2 words. It's about speed, it's about scale. This is not an economy where investors look for profitable ventures. We look for scalable ventures. So the reason a Flipkart, despite massive losses, is valued at what it is because if you look at the journey of Flipkart, first 18 months, 20 crores top line. From 20 crores, they jumped to 200 crores. From 200 crores, they jumped to 2,000 crores. From 2,000 crores, they jumped to 1 lakh something crores. In 7 years, Flipkart's turnover was equivalent or more than Reliance Industries. That's CMV, whatever. And that's where I disagree with Anurag. But that is the reason the smartest investors in town are writing them that checks. The valuation they're getting is for scale, not for profit. So that's what I'm saying. What has fundamentally changed in the world today is mindset.
I agree with him that scale matters, speed matters. I don't think, and differentiation matters. And but you know, I have a point, but that's not the, so they call it GMV, gross merchandise value, which is the pass through your system. इतने का माल बिका, but आपका retention तो उतना नहीं है. So ये GMV की बात कर रहे हैं, which is again a good indicator. See, again, it's very easy to look at hindsight and say, you know, ऐसे करते, you know, a friend of mine keeps saying this to me and it's not original. If my auntie had balls, she'd be my uncle. ऐसा अगर होता तो वैसा होता और so it's very easy to look, but there are lessons in it. Scale matters, and that's why I'm talking about this book called Blitzscaling, you must read it. It's a Reid Hoffman book, and it some way buys into what you are saying. He practices that. He writes 500 million, $1 billion checks to people. So clearly he believes in that. But I think it's about creating something differentiated. There is a guy called Seth Godin. How many of you heard of Seth Godin? One. So he wrote this book called The Purple Cow. कभी Purple Cow देखी है? देखी है किसी ने Purple Cow? नहीं है, नेपाल में नहीं है. There's no purple cow in Nepal. So basically, purple cow is a metaphor for creating something differentiated. It doesn't exist. There's no purple cow. India में भी नहीं है. ठीक है? Point is, what like he's talked about Ritesh, he did something smart. You call it smart, differentiated, new business model. He did the right thing. I mean, again, he looks like he will succeed. He's doing well in China. But as he said, it's a daily battle. But I have a different view. He talks about scale speed, which is needed. But at the same time, when in this room, you should think frugally. Where you are, where Nepal is, you should think big, but you should think frugally. So I just wanted to comment.
Thank you, Dr. Bata. Now,
One last point I wanted to
sure,
make is,
sure, Rahul.
what I'm trying to say is, if your investors are looking for scale and you're talking profits, you will not get funded. If I come to Nepal and speak in Gujarati, it won't make sense, right? I have to speak in Nepali. So look at if you look at the context of Nepal, what will happen in Nepal is what has taken 3 curves in India or US, that curve will get flattened. I was seeing somebody's presentation, I think from Vietnam, where he said they went from no phones straight to mobile phones. So I think in Nepal, you'll see a lot of leapfrogging happening, where a lot of companies will jump straight into stuff that has not happened before. So think from that point of view.
And that's the reason why we have Rahul and Dr. Bata here on stage to discuss entrepreneurship in Nepal and the future ahead. Now, I'd like to discuss with Mr. Agrawal on the same context. So, Dilip sir, you started your venture around 24 years ago, being a first generation entrepreneur, I'd say, particularly for that particular industry, with humble beginnings. And in more than 2 decades of doing business now, I'm sure you've seen a lot of technological advancements, a lot of government change, a lot of changes in the government, a lot of changes in policies, changes in the investment and financing environment in Nepal, and even the change in market dynamics and consumer base and mindset. So how would you like to sum up the different shifts that took place in last 2.5 or last 3 decades of doing business in Nepal?
Well, I'll talk from business and entrepreneurship point of view. Basically, when I started at that time, things were still a little bright because we had a democratic government and the banks had just been private banks had just opened up, so there was liquidity in the market. Banks were willing to fund projects, so it started off in a good note. Unfortunately, soon after that, we hit the whole civil war that our country experienced for a decade. So the whole Maoist insurgency started, and that drove everything really down. It pulled everybody down, and for many people, especially our tourism sector, it was a lethal blow for many industries. So during that time, nothing much happened. Surviving itself was the challenge, and if you could survive, then you were doing a great job. And once that whole phase ended in 10 years, we started our whole phase of political reconciliation and constitution building and all that, and that took another 10 years. So we lost another 10 years because of that. And now finally we are at a stage where we should grow, but unfortunately I don't see that growth. The economy is not where it should be. And so if I have to summarize the last 23 years, I am not complaining because I have done well. My company has done well, as I said earlier. But just looking at the country as a whole, we lost a lot of time. We lost 20 years. And uh, what the other esteemed speakers are saying here, I hope that we can really leapfrog in a lot of aspects. So we actually can bypass a lot of what we lost in the last 20 years and move straight to what more advanced countries than ours are doing today. In terms of the current climate, I would like to point out that it is not as business friendly as it should be, and that's just the way it is. We have to accept that. But there's a lot of reason to be positive because we at least have an elected government, that can take decisions, and taking decisions is more important than not taking any decision. So at least decisions are being taken, laws are being formulated. Whether we like them or not is a different thing. So we are moving forward, and this is the time for people to start in Nepal. Doesn't mean the ride is going to be easy initially, but if you don't start now, you will regret it later. Because Nepal is now at that stage where we could really have that hockey curve growth that people love to talk about in the tech field. So this is the time to really do something if people want to do something in this country. That's what I believe.
And, don't expect too much from your government. सरकार ने कोई रितेश अग्रवाल को कुछ दिया है. So governments, it's good to have democracy and it's very welcome, but really don't depend on governments. In spite of government, you should succeed. ठीक है? So ये एक बात मैं और कहना चाह रहा था हिंदी में. मेरी हिंदी सुदृढ़ है. हिंदी अलाउड है ना? वो डाउन मार्केट तो नहीं देखते हिंदी में.
Sure.
ये देखिए हिंदी बोलता है डाउन मार्केट है. गुजराती तो अप मार्केट है आजकल. वो आती नहीं मुझे. आती नहीं है मेरे को.
You can try to sell it in Hindi. Let's see if the audience buys it.
So two things I had written, which because of you hurrying me. One is I believe a lot. With him also I've gone to temples. I've gone to other interesting places, but let's not talk about those. Like cinema halls. Yeah, no. So what were you thinking, right? Exactly, Rahul and me. So me and Praveen is my younger brother, and he's and I like going to temples. I go to a lot of temples, and I talk about God lots of time in my, and I'm a normal human being, which means I've made lots of mistakes, done lots of things that I shouldn't have done. I would do them differently. I wrote a piece last year around this time. My editor of my weekly, we own India's largest selling advertising magazine called Impact, #1. And she called, and I don't write anymore. She said, Anurag, I want you to write for the anniversary issue. It's called the Good Luck issue. It's called the Good Luck issue. So I said, okay, I really believe. So I wrote a piece and I sent it and I posted it 1 month back again. Today I have to write, this issue is the trust issue, the anniversary issue of Impact. So I have to write for it. And one day after she told me, I went with Praveen to the Sarojini Nagar Lord Ganesha temple, Vinayak, Lord Ganesha, Ganpati, right? And we came out, we prayed, we came out, and this was May. So this is a story I'm relating. I wrote this, but this had happened in May, so it hadn't happened close. But it happened in May, and there were about 16 kids outside the temple who were there requesting for things. So I said, I won't give you cash, but I'll buy you ice creams. So I took the 16 kids to the ice cream vendor and I tried to buy them a 10 rupee ice cream. The base ice cream 10 rupee. So उसमें से 12 बच्चों ने तो ले लिया, 4 या 5 बच्चे अड़ गए कि we want a different ice cream which costs more. We want a cassata, we want chocolate, something. I don't exactly remember. But 10 की जगह कोई 25 की थी, कोई 20 की थी, कोई 30. तो ऐसा कोई बड़ी बात नहीं था. But I tried to bully them, take this ice cream or I will go away. And you will not get an ice cream. But they stood their ground. After 10 minutes, I gave in. I gave them the ice cream they wanted. They say God also falls in love with a stubborn heart. So those kids, we sat in the car and Praveen said to me, Anurag bhai, do you know what you did? I said, no. He said, what is the difference between luck and destiny? And I wrote this piece, it's an Impact, you can Google it, it's an impactonnet.com. He said that in everybody's destiny, it was written to have an ice cream. but the ones that made an effort to get the ice cream they liked or they wanted got what they wanted. So life में क्या होगा नहीं होगा आपको effort मारना है. You have to believe you can do it. You have to believe you're lucky. People who believe they're lucky, they get lucky. Narendra Modi believed that he could be the Prime Minister of India. Donald Trump, he believed that, you and you, right? Believed he could be the president. Right, wrong, समय बताएगा. अभी नहीं, 5 साल बाद. Second thing, I talked about learning from books, movies. How many of you think you know have answers to everything? Intelligent लोग कितने हैं इस रूम में? वाह, शादीशुदा नहीं होंगे आप. देखिए मेरे को पता है. That's the only way you can have answers to everything. Otherwise your wife has. Okay. See, I love music. All of us love music. There's a band called UB40. Have you heard of a band called UB40? Why is it you have not? Have you heard of a song called Red Red Wine? Have you watched the movie called Sliver, in which there is a can't help falling in love with you, right? But these two songs are the most popular. But there's one song called Higher Ground. Today, every morning I post on LinkedIn, and there's a text that I put that I or a friend of mine write. We write about whatever is our state of mind. So I won't sing the song. I'm not good as that fish guy. But the song called Higher Ground, and it goes like this. Every day, every hour, I'm learning more. The more I learn about people, the less I know, the more I look around. So, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a leader, you can be sure sometimes, but being unsure helps. Because then you look for another solution, you approach the problem. So you have to be, you have to be somebody who thinks you know less. Because if you think you know more, then the ego doesn't let you learn. So be somebody who knows less. You'll find ideas, you'll find solution to those ideas, you'll find differentiation, as he was talking about OYO and its competition. These are two things I forgot from last time, so I have just...
All right. Thank you, Dr. Bhatta. Now, summing up what I got as answers to my very first question to all the speakers, what I derived from them was Dr. Bhatta focuses more on building real businesses rather than valuation. He focuses on building value. He said businesses earlier used to focus on revenue, but then now businesses have started focusing on valuation, but which might not be the best thing. What's in it, what's the actual content of the business that the entrepreneur should not be missing out on. That's what I derived from it. And he also stressed on, with the rise of ecosystem and funding and exposure, there are a lot of good entrepreneurs coming up. But then, are they going on the right track? Are all the companies who are building or who they've seen in India?
उनको भी नहीं पता है वो तो.
Exactly.
You were
True.
right track पे
So
कि नहीं.
are they in right track? So we don't have the, to the point answer for that. But then I see a benefit of doubt of those companies not being in the right track, as per Dr. Bhatta.
Find the right track, As long as they're walking, they'll find a way. आप अगर पहाड़ पे भी जाते तो
Yeah.
रास्ता तो ढूंढ लेते हैं ना.
Yeah. And you also stressed
Entrepreneurship
on...
is like, I'm in Nepal. Entrepreneurship is like climbing a mountain.
Yeah, true.
It's like climbing a mountain. It's a beautiful journey. Yes, it has obstacles. You have to find new routes. You have to be smarter. You have to have stamina. You have to the equipment, which is mentors, knowledge, funds. So my next article, entrepreneurship is like climbing a mountain. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. That's how I write
Thank you,
articles.
Dr. Bhatta. And deriving the learnings from Rahul, from my first question, he stressed on collaboration has increased as we, as we moved on from 90s to 2000s and now on 2010s and beyond. The mindset of entrepreneurs have changed. Mentoring and collaboration, there are more opportunities that have come up. And now entrepreneurs, along with the investors and everybody, does not consider formal education of founders as the key to success. The focus is more on speed, collaboration, and the scale. And the focus is more on growth of the ventures rather than, what all they started with or how they started with. And Mr. Agrawal shared that as Nepal grew up during last 3 years, the entrepreneurial ecosystem or the business environment shaped up or whatever has happened in course of his business, he said there were times when the government seemed to be supportive, but the decisions were, hanged on to for a long time. The decisions weren't taken promptly. There were times when we didn't know what the policy is and how the entrepreneurs will be facilitated or benefit from it. And in between, we had almost a transitional phase when we went through some sort of internal insurgencies in the country. And now, as we have the system at place, with the new government, a lot of new decisions are being taken care of, a lot of new policies are coming into practice, they're being updated and upgraded over and over again. So we see a brighter future. But then, summing up all of these things, I'll also try to connect it further in my second question. But now I'd just like to ask few, answer in, rapid fire, in bullet points, starting with Rahul. Rahul, can you specify in 5 points, 5 bullets, what's entrepreneurship, or what does entrepreneurship comprise of? What all is required to do it? No, I mean what are the 5 things that are required? See, my textbook definition suggests me land, labor, capital, ideas, all of these things become makes it entrepreneurship. Do you agree to it, or would you like to add on something? Just 5 bullets.
Mindset, 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 mindset.
All
That's
right. Dr. Bata,
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आपने बोला ना वो
bullets.
आंसर इन शॉर्ट वाला
Yeah.
तो एक सरदार पता है क्या होता है? कोई सरदार तो नहीं है सरदार? सर मैं मजाक कर सकता थोड़ी परमिशन है कि कर दा ओके एक बार क्या होता है एक सरदार लुधियाने में होता है वो एग्जाम देने जाता है ही गोज टू पार्टिसिपेट इन एन एग्जाम सो ही गोज देयर ही ओपन्स द क्वेश्चन पेपर एंड सडनली ही लीव्स द एग्जाम हॉल एंड ही कम्स टू दिल्ली सो पीपल कॉल हिम एंड आस्क हिम क्यों है यार तू दिल्ली क्यों आ गया व्हाई हैव यू कम टू दिल्ली ही सेज इट वाज रिटन राइट इन कैपिटल ओनली सो आई हैव कम टू दिल्ली फिर वो दिल्ली में एग्जाम लिखने लिखता है तो फिर क्वेश्चन पेपर खोलता है एंड ही रिमूव्स ऑल हिज क्लोथ्स एंड स्टार्ट राइटिंग द एग्जामिनर टेल्स हिम व्हाट द व्हाई यू रिमूविंग क्लोथ्स व्हाई यू ओनली इन योर अंडरपैंट ही सेड इट्स राइट इन ब्रीफ ओनली so I remembered that joke but when you said by the way I made a PowerPoint presentation you know why I didn't use it
Because you wanted to make
because
it brief.
PowerPoint presentations are made by people who are neither powerful nor have a point of view. I'm in the media business, so anyway, these are jokes. Okay, don't take it. My 5 points. I mean, Rahul has said mindset, which means the way of thinking. That's very important. But I'd say first is self-belief. Second is ability to fail or reinvent. Third is the ability to take risk. Fourth, you have to be a constant learner. And last but not the least, and I would, is, when you give to others, God gives back to you. So if you're an entrepreneur, you have to be a giver. If you're a giver, it will come back to you. I know it, we define entrepreneur in narrow. And again, I don't know how many social impact entrepreneurs are here. People who are doing impact ventures. Anybody who has a social impact venture? None. So yes, 1, 2. Maybe the next. Social impact means, creating ventures which solve problems. They are sustainable for profit, but maybe water issue, air, child literacy, trafficking issue, societal problems that are not considered. And again, it's a fancy term. इन्होंने बोला business, आपने land capital business school में. But the world's first social entrepreneur was Mother Teresa. उसका नाम नहीं था social entrepreneur. So I
Thank
think
you.
there is
Thank
a
you,
new
Dr.
normal.
Bhatta.
There is no definition of entrepreneurship. Make your own definition of entrepreneurship. There's no definition. Don't listen to people, okay? Make your own definition, okay?
Thank you, Dr. Bhatta. The things that, I wanted to add on top of what our speakers just said were for entrepreneurship to be possible, we need several resources. Resources being right human resource, availability of capital, right ideas, right market, right mindset, of course, the energy and belief in yourself, and the belief in the success that you want to drive towards, as Dr. Batra stressed on. And I also wanted to connect it back to the situation that we have in Nepal at the moment. As we see, we've got one of the highest youth population per capita. We have been seeing a lot of consumer spending that's been going on with the internal productivity as well as the remittance inflowing. We also have good flow of liquidity in market. A lot of commercial banks are coming up to promote entrepreneurship along with, I mean, like invest in ideas, partner up with entrepreneurs. Despite we do not have the provisions of alternative investment, there are several companies that have already popped up to support entrepreneurs in early stage. People who've created wealth or have certain level of fortune or the successful entrepreneurs, they're willing to lend support to new entrepreneurs and partner with them. And the government has also been with limited knowledge, limited resources in a short period of time, been proactive to support entrepreneurs. And just looking at the fact like our government is hosting Tourism Year 2020, Visit Nepal Year 2020, when in the next 2 years, we're expecting to double up our tourist arrival, and that too, making it the profitable tourist arrival. And considering the young people who've been in
Indians ज़्यादा है या Europeans ज़्यादा है? Profitable.
profitable segment, as per the stats, the Indian and the Chinese tourist has been more profitable to Nepal in the recent years. And even with the, like if you consider the growth rate of the,
You have
tourists
to
coming
build a
from.
new airport first. It takes 20 minutes to get out. Okay?
Yeah, so we're building 2 new airports. Even, looking at the infrastructure funding and a lot of things, I see all of these things will add up to boosting entrepreneurship in Nepal. So now I wanted to,
One point I want to make.
Sure.
See, when I say of mindset, if I look at all the ventures I've done, when you talk entrepreneurship, the biggest emotion is courage. Okay. And when you talk Nepali, if I say the word Nepali, the first emotion that comes is courage. So I don't see any reason you guys can't be great entrepreneurs. You've already done it in the forces, in any, whether it's Britain or India or any of the armies, the most courageous soldiers have been Nepalis. Now you just have to translate that and become the same in entrepreneurship. That's all. Rest, everything will fall in place.
Thank you. Thank you, Rahul. So, adding on top of the list that I mentioned, adding on what our speakers said, I'd like to ask Mr. Agrawal, so considering these key ingredients that are required for entrepreneurship to be possible and to grow, how do you see Nepal's future in the next decade? Because I think you're the best person, on stage to actually project about Nepal's future of entrepreneurship, because you've done that first-handedly. You've seen how technology, access to technology has hampered growth, maybe your own growth during the early stage of building your venture, how the consumer market drives and, hampers it or grows it, along with policies, flow of capital, everything at place. So how do you see it going further in the next decade, in 2020s, considering the important factors?
Well, you see, I think a decade back, somebody had told me that there was a research done by McKinsey on entrepreneurship. And this person was from South Africa, and he told me that South Africa ranks really low on entrepreneurship. Means the number of people who become entrepreneurs and choose entrepreneurship as their profession is very low. And that's a big matter of concern for South Africa. I don't know how it is now, that this is a decade back. But he was saying that Nepal ranks better, for example. India ranks much, much better. So Nepal does have a vibrant entrepreneur ecosystem. There are entrepreneurs here. There is a culture of entrepreneurship, and that the culture of entrepreneurship is gaining momentum. For example, when I started, quite honestly, my father was ashamed. No, 6, just joking. But when I started, my father was ashamed of me becoming an entrepreneur, because he is a professor, and being an entrepreneur was viewed, and to still some extent is viewed as someone who is profiteering off somebody. You are fleecing somebody, and that's how you're making money. So that negative connotation was highly prevalent 20 years ago. Today it is less, but it is still there, and it is going to erode and become less and less in the future. So with that change in mindset, more and more people are choosing to become entrepreneurs, and there is more opportunity as well to become entrepreneurs, because there's a lot of services, and that need to be delivered to people. So there are more entrepreneurs in the services sector in our country than in the product sector. Unfortunately, I think we have lost the race in products. We are a country that is swamped by foreign goods. All of us know that if you go to any shopping center. And quite honestly, I don't think as a country we will be able to compete with those foreign manufactured goods. Yeah. So services is the way to go. And those of you here who are choosing entrepreneurship, go for services. And there's a lot of services that people need in this country. If we just walk around, there's so many opportunities. And if you don't have any ideas, go to India or go to China or go to Singapore, go to Thailand, and just copy. That's the best way to do things. Copy, rip off. Research and development is, you just rip off and duplicate it. Come back to Nepal and duplicate it, like he was talking about Flipkart. Yeah, they duplicated, they ripped off and duplicated. Nobody does innovation, real innovation. We don't need to do real innovation. We can just copy and duplicate. So yeah, I think the future for entrepreneurship in this country is very bright. I think entrepreneurs are taking more and more of a forefront leadership in the country, and the mindset has also changing, and it's changing also because young people like you are entering entrepreneurship. He is planning to migrate to Nepal and join as well, so we welcome him as well. So because of young people coming in, that is also changing the mindset. There are a lot of people older than me and old like him who have a different mindset about entrepreneurship. I'm sorry, but the younger people have a different mindset about entrepreneurship. It's not just about the money, and that's a good thing. So I'm very positive and hopeful about entrepreneurship in our country. I highly encourage everyone to choose entrepreneurship because there's tremendous scope.
I want to challenge you in all the things that young people do. Let you and me do it. See who's lasts longer. All the things. Like looking at WhatsApp and so on. I'm kidding. One thing I want to, again I forgot. Entrepreneurship का ये मतलब नहीं है कि e-commerce company start करो, start a cab hailing service. That is also entrepreneurship. Manufacturing is also entrepreneurship. Taking a franchise of a brand. Rajneesh talked about the start. But I am doing a book called The Creative Entrepreneurs. If you're an author, if you're an Amish Tripathi in India, or a Chetan Bhagat, and I'm not going into the quality of their writing, their political views, other controversies surrounding them, let's not talk about those, right? They're creative entrepreneurs. You know how much money they make, right? Authors, singers, writers. So the creative economy is creating so many, if you're a blogger, influence economy. If you are an influencer, say if you're a food blogger, if you are a tech blogger, gadget blogger, auto blogger, fashion blogger. I mean, you don't have to have, you just don't, if you're a bullshit blogger, lots of people, they make money. What do you make money of? We bullshit every day. Some have become presidents, some have become prime ministers. Of course, not referring to my country, okay? Let me clarify, nor your country, other countries, okay? So creative entrepreneurship, the narrow term doesn't apply. Anything that builds something unique and that is profitable, sustainable, and makes an impact around you is entrepreneurship. That creates jobs. I can give you, today being a chef, it's very profitable, right? So I can give you many examples in my book. It's about new age careers and creative entrepreneurs. So just don't think of starting a company. You can be a solo player and be actually more happy. Having employees does this to you, okay?
Thank you, Dr. Bhatta. Hello? Yeah, it's working now. So with this, what I have derived is that Nepal in the next decade has a very good future for entrepreneurs, as well as with leadership of the entrepreneurs and them being the forefront leaders for driving the economy as well as the nation. We see Nepal having a very bright future because we see more well-educated young people coming into market. Something to add on top of what the speakers have said.
And you don't have to drop out of college, okay, please.
Yeah, true. And what I also see is, I see a lot of our friends and folks who've been studying outside of Nepal, who've been working in some of the best companies, who've in fact started several companies out there. In the next decade, it will also be time that they start opening up their new shops in Nepal or expanding their companies here, or even quitting their jobs out there, bringing a lot of experience and building companies here in Nepal. That's also a positive sign. with several initiatives from government coming up to promote different industries as well as doing business as a whole. This will also boost up entrepreneurship.
Just to end that, Modi ji, when he became the Prime Minister, you know, he banned all the honeymooning couples to go out of India. You know why?
True, yeah.
You know
Because
why? Because he said, make in India.
Yeah. Oh, I thought that's because of the dollar outflow. I could relate that to the recent decisions from our government, where we're also not encouraged to travel so much abroad, so that our dollar does not go out of country. Yeah, and even yeah. So coming back to like something like start building companies, building services in Nepal, and with once again with the talent that we're coming up with, as Dilip sir said, we can actually make a big shift in the service industry, be that technology-based service industry or any other service. Along with that, the flow of capital, it's a very positive sign. Even gathering of more than 600-700 entrepreneurs like this, and these things happening again and again. I mean, there are a lot of platforms to derive inspiration and spread information on entrepreneurship. And agreeing with Dr. Bata, this is not just about creating startup companies or tech-oriented companies or even pseudo businesses. Entrepreneurship is about building real businesses, and I see even a greater value in doing that, as what my other speakers have pointed out. There are chances for us to get into manufacturing companies because most of the goods that we consume are imported. The brand that we have, not just of courage, but then, of the resources, the specialized natural resources that we have to, a lot of, human capital that we have, where we have the competitive advantage in, we can produce amazing things and export outside. And for that, this has been a talk since a couple of decades, but then after 2020s or like during 2020s is best. Why? Because the labor market outside is becoming expensive. Manufacturers are looking for new markets. We have one of our friends, Bobby from Vietnam, who we got to learn from how Vietnam have shifted. They've actually leapfrogged from, leapfrogged in several steps. So I see Nepal doing the same in the next decade. So if all of us agree, if all the panelists agree, will it be a good idea for me to conclude that 2020 is going to be a big thing for, like the decade of 2020 is going to be a big thing for doing entrepreneurship or doing business in Nepal? Do you agree to it?
I think we should see at least 10 unicorns in Nepal in the next 10 years.
Thank you, Rahul.
Nepalese rupees or Indian rupee or dollars?
Dollar.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Okay. But, can I tell you this we run a media company, do 2020, 2030,
I mean, like,
2025.
in the next decade, sorry, 10 years
75
from now.
years of India. This 2020 business is like, when I was 20, I would say 20 is the new 10. Now I'm 40, I say 40 is the new 30. These are labels, okay? All this doesn't matter. Fact is, Nepal can only go, I'm just saying organic. I'm giving you one industry, agriculture, organic. I mean, the whole world is shifting to organic, right? That could be big. Tourism, building travel tech. I mean, everything is developing in where it is. If two new airports are coming, he told me. So I think Nepal is at let me say, at the cusp of breaking out, cusp of discovering, maybe where India was 10 years back. So you're at the right time. Start now, as he said. And, again, one thing I forgot, I always, when I go for a talk, I recommend books and websites or movies. So I want to recommend 2 books to read. One Rahul has read. It's called The Hard Things About Hard Things. We glamorize entrepreneurship. It's not that easy. Rahul knows, I know, Mr. Agarwal, It's a book written by Ben Horowitz, who runs, again, a private firm called Anderson Horowitz. He sold his cloud company to Hewlett Packard. So he de-glamorized the hard things about. Second, I believe in life, everything he talked about, mindset, philosophy, all that. If we have a high self-esteem, if we accept ourselves as we are, we will do well. With our imperfections, with our flaws, whoever. None of us are perfect, okay? Some people are more perfect than others, but none of us are. So I love this book called Gifts of Imperfection by Dr. Brené Brown. If you can't buy the book, or if you don't want to, you can go to Anderson Horowitz, Ben Horowitz blog, which is one of the most read blogs. And again, you can watch the YouTube, The Gifts of Imperfection. So these are two books. If you want to keep pace with Business World, read businessworld.in. That's a good website to read. I read it every morning.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's okay.
What's Mr. Agrawal's take on it? Do you agree to the fact that we have, my statement where I said like we've got a good future for entrepreneurs in the next decade?
Definitely, that's what I firmly believe, and I believe that because entrepreneurship is gaining momentum in this country, it's being viewed as a positive profession, and there's a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurship.
Thank you, distinguished panelists.
I go to a lot of, big audience. I've come to Nepal, involved. He's such a gentleman, and his questions are all structurally right. We were making it a little lighter because it's, it's sundown time.
Yeah. No, I feel. Thank you so much. A great panel discussion or a power discussion is possible only with great panelists. So it's my pleasure and privilege to have got this opportunity to moderate the power discussion on entrepreneurship in Nepal, the decade ahead, and also a pleasure to have you all among the panelists. Thank you so much.